What? A new spin-off Splatoon game releasing for the Switch too? Dude. What a week to be a Splatoon fan. Like, 1 minute I'm doing the usual, dissociating while at work, and the next minute I'm hyperventilating in my car because holy crap, 30 new weapons! We're getting 30 new weapons? Well, at least those of us who didn't gamble away all of our Sheldon licenses like real adults. I have $83,000 in credit card debt. Anyway, I thought with so many brand new weapons being added to the game and even more thoughts to share, I thought it might be fun to make a tier list. So here it is. Splash Panda's Splatoon 3 tier list version 10.0.0 third kit edition based on joy and whimsy. Working title. Anyway, what exactly do I mean by joy and whimsy? Well, it's basically just how much fun I've had with these weapons, not necessarily based on how good they are. It's as I've said multiple times on this channel, I'm not a comp player, so if you see a weapon ranking that really makes you scratch your chin and go, is this guy stupid? The answer is yes. Anyway, obnoxiously long intro aside, let's get into the ranking. Alright, we're gonna be starting things off with the Clawz 96 gal, and why does it have pants? Who gave the 96 gal pants? And leopard print, like who approved this design? I mean, I'm giving it a hard time, but like it's almost so hideous and tacky that it kind of just does a complete 180 into me kind of loving it. I don't really have a whole lot of room to criticize this thing's fashion choice as a guy who's literally naked except for a hat, so I'd better just keep my mouth shut. I don't know though, it's ugly but in a good way, it's kind of like a pug. But you know what? This weapon, regardless of how kind of sorta ugly it is seriously some of the most fun I've had in a while. And honestly, I didn't really expect it to be as much fun as it was. Looking at its kit, I just kind of thought it would be okay, but playing it, actually getting your hands on it and playing it is a completely different experience. And no, I don't want to hear any of you in the comments section talking about how, oh, the angle shooter is a kit killer. Because listen here, I will fight to the death for angle shooter, line marker, dart, Markiplier. I think even if it's not a great sub, it's a really fun one. And thankfully here on the 96, it is a surprisingly good combo. It is actually a true combo with 96, with a 1 tap from 96 and an angle shooter resulting in, I think, 102 damage. Not the most consistent, and you'll still get screwed by fall-off damage, but hey, it's something. And hey, if you play 96, you know that landing that first shot isn't too hard. It's always the second bullet that exits your gun at a 90-degree angle and completely dodges your opponent, causing you to, you know, lose. But thanks to angle shooter, which is 100% accurate, you don't really have to worry about that as much. I mean, you still kind of do. I mean, as long as you have enough ink in the tank and your aim with angle shooter is true, then, I mean, you could pretty reliably secure kills with it. I don't know, these two were just kind of an unlikely pairing in my mind. I'd really never considered the idea of putting these two on a kit together, but angle shooter is nothing if consistent, and consistency is something that 96 kind of desperately needs. Is this my dream 96 pairing? No, but it's so fun, I don't even care. Now, the special here is kind of the opposite story. I have always wanted a 96 kit with Tacticooler. I mean, it's mid-range, it's support-oriented, it had ink armor in the previous games, which is like kinda similar, you know, chaining support to the whole team. Except Tacticooler would work so much better with 96. You know, one of the biggest blights that us 96 players have to face is that our gun will decide seemingly at random, I think you should lose this 1v1. But guess who just snorted 57 ability points of quick respawn? That's right, I am unkillable. I don't know, this weapon's not really meant to be played like a full-on aggro slayer, it's just too inconsistent, but having Cooler's quick respawn effects just makes this so fun. See, my strategy here is just to pop a Red Bull, engage anybody that looks at me funny, and if I die, I die. I'll be right back to continue feeding. I don't know, I was just really pleasantly surprised with just how much I like this kit. Like, I know nothing is ever gonna trump 96 Deco, but I'm kinda surprised how close this got for me. It's just a lot of fun, and it is an easy S tier for me. But you know, whereas I compared the Clawz 96 here to a pug, I like to think of the Glamorz Splattershot as like a pit bull. Because this thing is tailor-made for mauling children. This thing is one of the most go stupid, go crazy aggro kits we've ever gotten, and it's absolutely peak. Like, a Splattershot as a main weapon has always tended to lean more on the Slayer side, but the kits so far in Splatoon 3 have been relatively well-rounded. You've got your bomb for mid-range poking, and then you've got your Tri-Strikes and your Zuka for longer-range displacement. It's a very well-rounded kit. Not with this guy. Glamorz Splattershot is fully spec'd into being as aggressive as possible. See, back in the day, I I sound so old when I say that. Back in Splatoon 2, I actually did main that game's vanilla Splattershot, and that was mostly due in part to just how much I really liked Burst Bomb with it. Splattershot's just such a nice, snappy weapon to both fight with and move around with that having a sub-weapon that bolstered both of those characteristics just felt really good. Like, yeah, it wasn't the most interesting combination, but it worked really well, and I'm honestly so happy to have it back. And you know, I would have been completely fine if they carried it over as a reference kit and given it Splashdown. But guys, they gave it Kraken. They gave a Splattershot Kraken. Not only did they give it Kraken, 190p Kraken for a weapon that paints this well. This is just such a great pairing. This is like the most Slayer aggro weapon to have gotten paired with Kraken so far, and it works just as great as you'd expect it to. Maybe I'm a little biased here. Kraken's probably my favorite special to use, but like before I even played it, I had just decided that this thing was my new favorite Splattershot. I just kind of adopted it. I don't know, a lot of it probably is that factor of this is the most aggro Slayer weapon we've gotten to have with Kraken. I mean, we did have Krak-On Roller, but that's more of like a stealthy assassin, whereas this one's a lot more in your face. I do like that you can't use it as like a panic button here. You do have to be pretty intentional about how you use Kraken because those startup frames take forever. And I swear, because you'll be popping this thing usually in the middle of a fight, those startup frames feel like they take like 3 times as long. But honestly, I don't even care. Playing this weapon has just been so downright cathartic. Like, I love how I can go full tryhard with this weapon and be super tactical about it, but it's also been a lot of fun to just turn my brain off, go full on dummy aggressive mode, and try to rush in and get as many kills as I can before the inevitable happens. I don't know. Is it the most exciting kit in the world? No, but it's so fun. I'm not ranking these kits on creativity, so S tier. Next up, we have the Colorz Aerospray with this cool little rainbow design thing on the nozzle, and it was released in June. Aerospray. More like Aero Gay. You know, it's kind of been a while since I've really even touched Aerospray. Part of it might just be me outgrowing the weapon since I first picked it up like 8 years ago. But I'd be lying if I said that part of my apathy towards this thing wasn't at least in part due to the kit situation in Splatoon 3. The MG is kinda eh. Seeing the RG during a Splatfest makes my vision go red, and I'm not gonna lie, this one doesn't quite change that situation. Like, it starts off pretty promising by giving it a Burst Bomb. That was kind of my favorite Aerospray back in Splatoon 2, was the one with Burst Bomb. I don't know, Burst Bomb provided that little bit of extra chip damage to a weapon that desperately needed it, as well as giving some extra paint to a weapon that already painted pretty well. Overall, really good combo for this weapon. But then they had to go and give it splatter color screen. Listen guys, we already had an Aerospray kit that was perfectly capable of giving people migraines. We did not need a second one. Look, I'm gonna try my best to not go into an unhinged rant about why I hate this special with a burning passion. But I hate this special with a burning passion. But it's like, even setting aside my personal disdain for screen, what does it exactly do for Aerospray? Like, as much as I don't like the special, it does have some degree of synergy on the other kits that it's on. Take, for example, the custom Hydra Splatling. You could throw down your screens, rev up your Splatling behind it, and then peek out to fire. I still don't really like that weapon that much, but there is synergy there. With Aerospray, it's like, I don't know, you're gonna throw it down and go back to cowering in fear, meticulously painting corners. And like, yeah, I guess it gets a lot of screens, but like, really? Really, that's where you're putting all your chips. Screen. You're dedicating yourself to exclusively generate screens the entire match. I cannot think of a more depressing existence. I don't know, I'm just not really too jazzed about this kit. I'm gonna have to throw it in like D. I gotta give it props for the Burst Bomb, but I can't forgive that screen, man. Next up, we have the L3 Nozzlenose. Wait, is it? Shoot, I messed it up. Next up, we have the Glitterz L-3 Nozzlenose, and yes, all of the Emberz weapons have this naming scheme where they have a Z at the end because, I don't know, they hired a 2008 scene girl to name all of their weapons. They're just such a quirky brand like that. And look, man, I was so happy to see Inkjet back on L3. It makes me so happy. L3D back in Splatoon 2 was kind of my first experience playing Nozzlenose weapons. At the time, I was kind of turned away from the whole burst fire thing. Like, I don't want to think about where I have to aim and then pull the trigger. I want to be able to spray and pray. But L3D's kit in that game was just so fun that it helped me kind of look past the burst fire thing long enough to get used to it, and before I knew it, I just loved Nozzlenoses. L3D was the kit that got me into playing Nozzlenoses, and it's back! Kinda. So, while I'm a little sad to not have the original pairing of Burst Bomb Inkjet back, I still think Splat Bomb works pretty great here. I mean, it isn't as reliable chip damage as a Burst Bomb, but like, it still gets the job done, and it's a lethal bomb. You can't really complain. I think I'm especially happy to see Inkjet back on it this time around, because from memory, I don't think we have any aggressive shooters that have Inkjet on it, which is kind of a perfect fit. It's just like an old family reunion, though. I really love seeing this back. I don't know, man. L3 is just such a fast-paced little dude. It feels really nice to just run around spamming the trigger with my little cowboy gun that lets me turn into a jetpack sometimes. It just meshes so well with the close-range shooter playstyle that it makes me wish we really had more inkjet shooters. And because L3 paints so well, you can get lots of these. And just go to town. This is such a well-made weapon. As much as I do like it, I don't think it's gonna go as high as S tier just because I'm more of an H3 Nozzlenose guy these days. But it is going pretty high up there. I gotta give this one at least an A. Next up, we have the Gleamz Blaster. Guys, we finally got a blaster with blue flames, and not only are they blue flames, they're like these really sick looking blue and purple holographic flames. That's like my favorite gradient ever. Look at my channel banner. That's not really a gradient, but I just really like the way these colors look together. Aesthetically, this weapon's great. Playstyle-wise, it's growing on me. When I first saw that they gave a short-range weapon such as Blaster Beacon, I was kind of worried that it was going to have Dapple Dualie syndrome, where it's a shorter-range weapon that, in a perfect world, can get into the enemy player's base and place beacons really far in there, but in reality, it having beacon means that it lacks the approach options to actually get in there. And while I do think that that's still kind of an issue here, it's not anywhere near as bad. Because Blaster can attack from behind walls and obstacles, it has a much easier time approaching than Dapple's, so its ability to really push in and place beacons, while still not great, is at least something. I mean, and even more so than with Dapple's, Blaster really likes to play underneath ledges, which is kind of the perfect place to place beacons. Like, it makes sense when you think about it, but in practice it isn't that good, but it's not as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. That being said, playing a Blaster with something like this just feels so... I mean, I still feel just kind of cold and defenseless whenever I play this weapon, at least the little bit that I've played so far. I'll admit that I'm not the most skilled blaster player, but playing the range blaster kits in this game have kind of spoiled me to having lethal bombs and approach options, and so having a blaster not have that, especially a shorter ranged one, it just kind of feels not that great sometimes. Now, what I do really like here is Crab Tank. I actually think this is really cool. I mean, I'm absolutely abysmally terrible at Crab Tank. I cannot stress enough how bad I am at Crab Tank. But man, do I love it. And I'd say it's a pretty decent fit for Blaster, all things considered. It lets you take on longer range opponents, it kind of makes up for Blaster's lack of paint, but like, not really. It turns your weapon that's really good into dealing AoE sort of burst damage into something that can deal consistent suppressive fire. The only kind of weird thing with having Crab on this is that, like, Blaster tends to play under ledges and stuff, and Crab is just kind of the exact opposite of that. Using Crab means you want to be higher up in an open area where you have a larger field of view, which is absolutely not where you want to be as a Blaster. It might mean a bit of awkward repositioning sometimes, but, you know, I still find it fun. That said, though, I'm just still not super jazzed about Beacon. I mean, it's there, I guess, but I'm gonna have to throw this thing in, like, a solid B tier. Or do I give it C? What am I feeling for this one? I'll give it a B. Next, we're going to be taking a look at the Cometz Octobrush, and let me be clear. That was so stupid. Let me be clear here. I don't really play a whole lot of brushes on account of they make my fingies hurt. Honestly, no offense to the brush nation, but anytime this class gets a new weapon, I kind of just brush it off. Except no. Not this time. I will not be brushing you off. Now, Cometz Brush here is kind of one of those Frankenstein abominations of a callback kit where they actually combine two of its previous kits to make one. And honestly, this thing has the DNA of some of Octobrush's best kits. And it honestly works together so well that I'm starting to come around to the idea of playing Octobrush more often. So, sub-weapon-wise, we have Chicken Friend. Right off the bat, extra whimsy points. But no, seriously, as it actually applies to using this thing in fights, Autobomb's a pretty good pick. It's kind of just a blanket rule for pretty much any weapon that likes to shark. Autobomb's great for checking corners and making sure that it's safe to go ahead, which is something that Octobrush needs if it wants to flank efficiently. It's more of a bread and butter combo, you know? It's not really anything that's gonna blow your mind, but it works together. It's a tried and true tested combo. The same thing goes for Kraken on Octobrush. Now, once again, Finally, we have a more aggressive Kraken weapon. I am so glad we're getting more of these. As much as I love you, Custom E-Leader, I gotta admit, I really do want Kraken on more aggressive weapons. So this has been pretty great, and Kraken, like Autobomb, has been on Octobrush before, and it worked just as well. But what I especially like about this kit is how well the Autobomb and Kraken work together. Pretty much any location sub is gonna work really, really well with Kraken. While I didn't play Splatoon 1, I was very familiar with the point sensor Kraken combo, and while this isn't that, I'd much rather have Autobomb on Octobrush than point sensor. You can kind of toss out an Autobomb, scope out the area, and once it's located somebody, you can kind of just hunt them down with your Kraken. It's kind of funny. I don't know, it's just such a weird Tom and Jerry weapon. Like, one moment they don't even know that you're there, and then the next moment you've thrown a bomb at them, and then you're just chasing them down, and they are completely powerless to do anything. All things considered, the fact that this thing has gotten me to actually like brushes is kind of a feat in and of itself, so I've got to give it some props. I think I'm going to be throwing this weapon in... I'm just going to go out here and give this thing an A, honestly. Alright, next up we got the Starz Dynamo Roller, a weapon that I surprisingly don't hate as much as I thought I was going to. Now, I love the Dynamo Roller, especially the gold Dynamo Roller in this game, and when I saw that it was getting a third kit and that its design looked sick, I was really hyped to see what they would give it. So when I saw that they gave it point sensor and killer whale, my initial reaction was to throw up in my mouth a little bit, but then I sat down and I gave it a few tries, and you know what? I see the vision here. Like, is point sensor my ideal sub for this weapon? Or any weapon for that matter? No. But it does have its use cases here. Given the Dynamo takes like 3 business days to be able to wind up for an attack, having point sensor, which helps you predict your opponent's movement, is really helpful here. You can sort of preemptively wind up whenever you know that someone's coming out from behind cover, so that way they're not just looking you dead in the eyes as you slowly wind up your weapon. And also, kind of sloshing machine Neo style, it does allow Dynamo to be able to hit over walls, although it's not the most consistent way of dealing damage. And of course, it does sometimes cause people to move out from behind cover and hopefully into your Dynamo Roller's swing. And Killer Whale is kind of in the same vein. It incentivizes people to move. With death. It threatens them with death if they don't move. And what's cool with Killer Whale on Dynamo is not only does it force people to move potentially into your Dynamo Roller's swing, it also just kind of tickles them a little bit, softens them up so that your weapon can actually kill things. And Dynamo swings are just riddled with sour spots. I swear the hitbox must look like Swiss cheese. And so having a special that not only forces people to move hopefully a little closer to your weapon and also softens them up is a really nice thing to have. Together, this kit is kind of like the gentle nudge that pushes your opponents in front of the 18-wheeler going 70 miles per hour on the freeway that is your Dynamo Roller. I don't know, maybe I'm coping because I love Dynamo Roller and I don't want to say that this is a bad kit. I don't really think it's bad. I don't really think it's good. It's not ideal. I see the vision. Open a Gambit with this thing is stupid fun. I'm gonna have to give this at least a B. Twinks? Yes, please. Dude, the Twinkle Splat Dualies have easily overtaken end parries as my favorite Splat Dualies kit. Mostly due in part to just how much I really love fizzies on these things. Not only do you have the paint trail that's offered on the curling bomb on the end parries, you also just have really nice big damage. What a really eloquent way I decided to word that. Really nice big damage. I think I'm just coming to learn that I view Fizzy Bomb as just a more fun curling bomb. You can use them for mobility, you can use them to poke at longer ranges, you can use them to set yourself up for a fight you want to take. It does so many things for these dualies. I just love tossing out a fizzy, having it explode, get a little bit of chip damage, and then dodge rolling out of the trail just to shred somebody instantly. It is so much fun, dude. And then they had the gall to go and give it Bubbler. Giving Splat Dualies a kit like Fizzy Bubbler is like giving a rabid dog a gun and a bulletproof vest. This thing's practically unstoppable. Not only does this do numbers for Dualie survivability, especially in turret mode where it's most vulnerable, it's also just super interesting to try and find ways to integrate this with your dodge rolls. Oftentimes I've found that people will just try and enter your bubble and it immediately turns into this stupid cage fight where you're zipping in circles around them and they just can't hit you. It's like you're hitting them with a Shadow Clone Jutsu. So it's like if you're able to really cut in and place a bubbler in a really meaningful spot, especially in the middle of a fight, you can really do some pretty crazy things with these dualies. This feels like all 3 parts of its kit really work with each other. I'm just a big fan of the synergy on this one. That's why I'm putting it in S tier. And here we have the Bulbz Tri Stringer. First of all, I know this is like a stupid thing to point out. This is an adorable weapon. They took the bow and made it a rainbow. I don't know. I just think that's cool design. But you know what's even better design? Giving Inkjet to Tri Stringer? I could not, and honestly still can't believe that this is a real kit that exists in the video game. Bow players have kind of had it rough the past couple years in terms of kits, and so to see this thing get Inkjet is... it's incredible. It's genuinely incredible. It allows your normally very backline oriented weapon to go on the offensive, but you can also use it to defend yourself if you get backed into a corner, which, you know, is something notoriously that the old bow kind of struggled to do. Like, neither of them are really equipped in any way for dealing with opponents up close, and this one gives it an option. What's really cool is that because it's a backline weapon, you're usually in a pretty safe spot to pop your special and not worry about people camping your recall. So you don't really have to worry about running something like Drop Roller. I mean, you can continue running Object Shredder to get that stupid object damage that bows are known for. I don't know, I really, really like this. This is the devs taking a risk with kind of a really radically different playstyle that we haven't seen from the other two bows, and it's really paying off. Yeah, I kind of forgot to talk about the sub-weapon. Okay, so this thing has Angle Shooter, which doesn't blow my mind, and it's not as clean of a combo as, say, 96. Angle Shooter here makes it so that instead of having to hit all 3 of your arrows on an opponent, you only have to hit 2. But I don't even really have that big of an issue with this not being that easy of a combo to pull off, because Bow's whole thing is that it likes to sort of poke and prod. It's not necessarily like a charger where it likes to slay and get lots of kills. It likes to farm assists, kinda. And so it's like, Angle Shooter's not crazy here, but it's at least decent. It softens opponents up. It tracks people, which makes it at least marginally easier to hit those super sick shots where you hit someone with all 3 of your charges over a wall. I still have yet to do it myself, but mark my words, it will happen someday, and it will be because of this weapon. I feel like I'm really talking up all of these weapons so much. I just think this collection is actually pretty sick, and while I've always been kind of interested in Tri Stringer, and I've had my phases with it, I've always found myself dropping it after not too long because the kits just aren't that great. This is changing that very quickly, though. I hope you guys aren't tired of me talking up and ranking all these kits super highly. I promise that's gonna change here pretty soon, but I really gotta give this one props. Bulbz Tri Stringer goes in the A tier. All right, now we're gonna be moving on to the Stickerz Splatana Stamper, and look, I don't even know, I might be just wasting my breath talking about this thing. Just one glance at it and you already know. No need for me to go into a long, rambly 3 minutes as to why this kit is incredible. Although, we're not ranking them based on how good they are. I have some very complicated feelings about Stickerz here. Well, okay, the thing that's not complicated, I love this design. This design is sick. I am an absolute fiend for the whole like Stickerz graffiti aesthetic, and this falls right into that category for me. It's actually a beautiful looking weapon. And again, I'll say the kit is good. They gave it auto bomb, which is good. It's a lethal bomb on a Splatana Stamper, which is a very busted weapon. You know, it's kind of great for pushing people out from behind cover because, you know, Splatana Stamper can really only hit people if it has line of sight on them. So, you know, it's good for that. And of course, Booyah Bomb counters a lot of stuff, and it's great for survivability. On paper, incredible kit. But here's the thing. I don't think in terms of Splatanas, anything is going to hold a candle to the vanilla Splatana Stamper. That weapon is just so cool, man. Its kit is just so... it's just so complex. You got the Burst Bomb, which has really insane combo potential with Splatana Stamper here. And it's really fun, you know, to find out when I should use which combo, or mastering hitting those sweet spots, using the Burst Bomb to move around more. And Auto Bomb's great and all, but it doesn't really do that. And it's the same thing with the special. Booyah Bomb's incredible for this thing, but I don't think I find it as fun as Zipcaster. I'm sorry, my inner 8-year-old says the one that lets me become Spider-Man with a sword is just way cooler by default. I won't lie, this has been a much more accessible Splatana kit. It's definitely been a lot easier. I don't feel like I have to engage 100% of my brain when playing it like I do with Vanilla Stamper, and for that, it's actually been pretty fun. But in terms of enjoyment, I mean, I've really only played a few matches with it. It's either going like really high B or, oh, this is tough. Oh, it's like, it doesn't really feel at home with either of these weapons. I mean, I've had about the same level of enjoyment with these 3. In terms of like raw power, this one definitely trumps, probably trumps everything else on this list, but in terms of enjoyment, it's like either like really tippy top of B tier or like lowish A tier. Okay, I'm gonna put this one here, put a little asterisk next to it. It's probably gonna get bumped up. I didn't mean to ramble so much about this one, but I have some really complicated feelings about you. Hydra Splatling Nation. We made it. We made it. Boys, we made it! We have never been more back than we are now, after years of being suppressed by ballpoint. After the last kit was, you know, Hydra Splatling. Not only does it get a third kit, not only does it look incredible, look at this thing. This is like my new favorite weapon design ever. It's a black Hydra Splatling with red highlights and the same, like, cool sticker graffiti pattern all over it, and it somehow gets even better when you look at the kit. This was a kit combo that I thought they would never do because it would be too good, okay? Bubbler on Hydra Splatling. It brings a tear to my eye, man. Earlier when I talked about the Twinklez dualies, like, yeah, you can set that up and kind of become a turret, but now your opponents can cower in absolute terror as your Hydra Splatling spawns a 1000 HP shield out of nowhere and becomes an unkillable turret. And what are they gonna do? Shoot at your bubbler to try and break it? What's gonna happen? The fastest DPS weapon in the entire game is just gonna mow them down. And then what? You're gonna tell me they gave it Sprinkler? Oh my! For a weapon whose charge time is only rivaled by the amount of time it takes for me to upload a video, Sprinkler might just be one of the best pairings for Hydra. This allows your weapon to paint even when it can't paint. That's a weird way of wording that. Listen, man, we used to dream of times like these. This is absolutely peak. I know I have really been putting a lot of stuff in these high tiers. This one is shooting straight to the top of all of them. I can't, how do I move it? Please. I can't do this fast enough. Seriously, I love this kit, man. And then we have you. Guys, what are we doing here? No, like a genuine question. Like, what's going on? Are you guys like drawing names out of a hat to decide some of these kits? Like, this kit is so bad, I almost want to chalk it up to randomness. But the worst part is there was clearly some thought put into this. As much as I hate screen, it at least kinda works with dualies, because you can roll out from behind them and surprise people in turret mode, and you can use point sensor to keep track of your enemies behind the screen. So no, this awful, abysmal kit was not some freak accident. An intern okayed this idea. This weapon should be classified as a hate crime. And I'm not kidding. The Dualie Squelchers are such unique and interesting and versatile weapons that there is a lot of things you could pair them with to make a fun and effective kit. And you chose point sensor screen and achieved neither of those. Neither! Like, these dualies are known for being uncharacteristically mobile. Why not give them a kit that's based around mobility? Or if you want to give them a support kit, give them a support kit. There are so many options. But sensor screen? Really? I'm sorry this segment's gonna be kind of short. I just really don't know what else to say about these, other than that I'm really sorry to people who main Dualie Squelchers. I was once one of you. I played a lot of this weapon back in Splatoon 2, and I was really excited to see that they were getting a third kit, but my hopes were dashed when I saw that it was this. It is guilty of the worst crime, that it is boring, and for that, Hoofz Dualie Squelchers, congratulations on being our first F tier of the video. So guys, after I finished recording the entry for the Hoofz Dualie Squelchers and I was getting set up to record the Hornz Wringer, my power went out. This weapon is cursed. This weapon is so unbelievably cursed. So I set everything back up and I decided to order the tiers, you know, going from left to right. It's just, you know, how much I like them. Yeah. Anyway, on to the Hornz Wringer, one that's going to be honestly kind of hard for me to rank as someone who's not the most experienced with Wringer. Like, it's always kind of been one of those weapons that I admire from afar because it has a really high skill ceiling despite having a pretty simple gimmick. It paints great, it kills great. I mean, it's really everything you could want out of a weapon. I'm just personally a little too stupid to know how to use it properly. So forgive me if I'm not too great at giving this weapon a fair shake on account of just not really knowing how to use Wringer in conjunction with all of the parts of its new kit. That being said, it's been a decently fun time. I mean, okay, so first of all, you've got Curling Bomb for your sub-weapon, which, honestly, I kind of like it. Wringer is one of those weapons that's kind of always on the move. It wants to be moving around the map to paint and take those weird off angles so it can hit people over walls. So I think a mobility sub works, but man, do you really feel not having a real bomb? And yes, Curling Bomb, you are not a real bomb. Suction bombs were just good paint and good poking and good movement manipulation, good area denial. There's really a whole lot of stuff that really just meshed well with Wringer. And Curling Bomb, while it definitely works, I don't think works as well, at least in my personal experience. It's probably gonna be one of those things that I just have to learn how to use it more. Alright, adding this in post because I forgot to talk about it earlier. A really cool piece of synergy is that if you squish someone with your Curling Bomb, it only needs one double slosh from Wringer to secure a kill. I know this isn't like the ideal way to get kills with it, but it's so stupid and honestly really satisfying to pull off. I'm really coming to like this combo more than I did a few weeks ago when I first recorded this, but yeah, just wanted to include that. Back to the video. And as for the special, they gave it Crab Tank, which is really sick. Like, I will 1000% take Crab Tank over Reef Slider. Granted, Reef Slider on old Wringer, it was kind of one of the few weapons that it actually worked with. It actually did combo decently well, but it is kind of nice to have a special weapon that doesn't cause you to just kill yourself when you press the right stick. While it's been fun, I haven't really learned how to use Crab Tank effectively, especially in conjunction with Dread. I do like that you can kind of use the Curling Bomb to get into good Crab Tank position, because, you know, you're not going to usually want to pop it from where Dread likes to play. So you could be playing from beneath a ledge 1 minute, Curling Bomb to a higher place or a further back place and pop your crab, depending on the situation. It's pretty neat. So far, it's been decent fun. I just don't feel too strongly about it so far on account of me not knowing how to play Wringer. And I just don't think I'm used to it yet. Right now, it's like really close. It's like either a really high C or a really low B. I'm feeling kind of nice, and I see a lot of potential. I could see myself really liking this kit, so I'm gonna put it at a low B for now. Now we're moving on to the... I forgot what you were called. Okay, Patternz. Patternz Undercover Brella. Okay. I am not sure how to feel about you just yet. Like most of these weapons, I've been able to play and get sort of a solid idea about how I feel about them. This one, I'm not sure if I'm ambivalent towards it or if I just kinda don't like it. Okay, so here's the thing. So from my experience, Undercover Brella is a lot like Carbon Roller, where it's kind of a weak main weapon on its own, but it has one thing that it can be really, really good at. It just needs the tools that enable it to do so. And so far in Splatoon 3, all of those kits don't do that. Sorella Undercover came kind of close, but they gave it Screen for some reason. And this one, in terms of being a good Undercover kit, maybe I'm not the one to say, considering I don't play a whole lot of Undercover myself, but I did used to play it back in Splatoon 2. I was a big Kenza Undercover guy, and this one's been kind of fun, I guess. This weapon kind of plays best when it's buddying with other players, and you can use Curling Bomb to sort of get into position better. So far, that's the only real use I've found for it. Undercover also kind of works attacking from off angles, and you can use Curling Bomb to get into those off angles. I don't know, it's weird where there's like a degree of synergy here, but I'm just not really feeling it, if you know what I mean. But here's the redeeming quality. They gave it Killer Whale, baby. Now your Undercover Brella no longer takes 8 shots to get a kill. It takes 7. Again, Killer Whale is just like, it kind of works. I mean, the main weapon is really good at being generally annoying. Killer Whale's whole purpose is to be very annoying, and you've got a main weapon centered around chip damage and a special weapon centered around chip damage, and there's just chip damage everywhere. So for like a more supportive Undercover Brella, it kind of works. You can't really go on the full offensive with this thing, but like, I don't really know if there is a kit they could give it that would allow it to go on the full offensive. I really do kind of wish they had given it Burst Bomb like was teased in the original Splatoon 3 trailers. I think that would work really great on Undercover. I know, I'm very original. That guy that just says, this is cool, but it'd be better if it had a Burst Bomb. I swear, I'm not just one of those people that thinks you should give everybody a Burst Bomb. But here, I think it would help a little bit. I don't hate Patternz Undercover, but I don't love it either. It's kind of the definition of a C-tier weapon, in my opinion. Man, This weapon's so funny to me. Big Swig Roller, as much as everybody rags on it, it's just such a goofy little guy. I love Big Swig, and I really can't explain it. It's a terrible weapon. I don't know, I'm a big fan of GooTuber. Maybe I just have a thing for terrible weapons that are just stupidly fun to play. And this kit is fantastic at bringing out that stupidity, that trademark stupidity that I love out of Big Swig. See, Big Swig is a support weapon. It's really good at painting the floor, and that's about it. And so you take it and you give it a really aggressive kit, and I can't explain it, but it works. It just works. Like, you give it Torpedo, which is great in its own right? You know, it's a roller. Rollers always like to be able to locate their opponents. Torpedo's great at that, and it offers a little bit of chip damage to, again, make those roller hitboxes a little less janky. You can also do the Torpedo roll combo to sort of extend the kill range of both your horizontal and vertical swing. And then they gave it Splashdown, which, much like the main weapon, isn't very good, but it's just funny. Like, sometimes you'll press the right stick, black out, and suddenly the entire enemy team is gone. Other times you'll trade like a complete tool, but it's impossible to be mad because you're playing Big Swig. It's so hard to put into words. The kit falls right into that sweet spot of incredibly stupid weapon that is objectively terrible, but yet somehow decent enough to where I could see myself using it unironically. I wouldn't say it's among my absolute favorites introduced in this update, but I mean, it is pretty up there. I'm gonna have to give this like... it's gotta be it's like a high B, low A situation. I don't know what to give it. I don't know if I want to put Big Swig... Hold on, I'm gonna do some rearranging here. I'm gonna say you... Although you confuse me, I do like you. So you're gonna be bumped up a tier. That feels better. I still don't know... Whoops. I still don't know where I rank these two. It's like these two are kind of interchangeable in their placements in terms of like personal enjoyment. Yeah. I'm putting the new Big Swig Roller over the new Stamper with a basically perfect kit. I am going to be publicly beheaded. Unfortunately, it looks like my public execution is gonna have to wait for another time because I have been rambling for way too long and I'm starting to get kind of nervous about how long this is gonna take to edit. Anyway, if you made it the whole way through, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys didn't mind the more rambly, less scripted style than what would normally be present in my videos. Make sure to leave a comment, let me know what you think. Give me your opinions on these weapons, and let me know if you'd be interested in the Barazushi collection. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to the video. Subscribe to my channel if you really liked it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and remember, always booyah back.